am thrilled today that I have as my guest, Jim White. Do you go by the name Jim as opposed to James?
Yes,
And
Jim.
thank you, Jim. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm a 58-year-old Dakota man. I'm a Dakota. I'm Santee Dakota actually, and I live up here in northeast Nebraska on the Santee Dakota Indian Reservation. I do ceremonies like UEP ceremonies, and then this will be my 7th year of having my Sundance, and
That's a big.
everything just around spirituality is what I do.
And so for people that are unfamiliar with what Sundance is, do you have something you could share about what that is and the symbolism of it?
Well, it's a personal commitment that a person basically wants to pray to. I'll just say common words like God,
Right.
and it's a 4-day dance, but you only dance during the day, not at night. And during those times, we have sweat lodges going all the time. And then we have UEP ceremonies at night when it's dark. And then during the day, we have the Sundance. And so this year was our biggest one. We had about 85 people, all races of people, black, red, yellow, white.
That
And
attended, but how many people actually participated? It's usually just a few,
but
right?
yeah, we had like 20 dancers.
Oh, that's a decent amount, I think,
Yeah.
right?
And then we had like for singers, I think we had 10 singers,
Yep,
which makes it go good, you know.
right.
And then the rest are supporters and firekeepers and cooks. And it's like a big community spiritual gathering.
Yeah.
And so we camped here together, we prayed together, we eat together, you know, we help each other out, we make friendships, we make relatives. Some people adopt other people as their relative.
Literally,
Um,
right? Like
yeah,
literally say that you're now my part of my family.
yes. And
Mhm.
then we got a part of our Sundance where we put up a bench with like pretty Indian blankets on it, and we put up pictures of our deceased ones, our loved ones that passed away, because we always remember them, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And so it's really um I'll tell you this, when it comes to an end, people are lonesome. They don't want to leave, they don't want to go home, you know, because they feel good, you know, and they get the feeling of what it's like to be family and what it's like to be in a real community, you know,
Right.
without judgments. Yes.
And we need that in the world right now. Oh my God, do we need that? And
Yes.
so
Yes.
this is done once a year usually, and you had told me in August. For some reason I thought
Mhm.
July, but it's August. And so if this has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about later, but if people want to help support this important work, because it's a blessing to everybody, not just the people that are there, it blesses everybody, certainly in this country and even the world. When people do prayer work like this, intensive prayer work, we all are the beneficiaries of this, whether we are knowledgeable about it or not. So if somebody wanted to donate to this endeavor, can you tell them how they could do that?
Um, the Sundance is called Blue Spider Sundance in Santee, Nebraska, and my name is Jim White, of course, and they can donate. Um, well, I'm like on Cash App and that type of thing,
Okay, maybe I'll put a
or
link on the bottom of the video on where they could.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then my address and stuff too.
yeah.
So
Or
yeah,
I'll put a contact way to contact you. I don't want to put your address on the YouTube video.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
we'll figure that out.
Excuse me.
Okay. So what I had heard you talking about, um, the focus of it, at least this particular interview that you had done, was on Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And what you were talking about Bigfoot, put it in a different light. Normally people think of Bigfoot or Yeti as this aggressive, scary being, but you had something else. And could you share how you look?
Well, I'll just go back from the beginning. About 6 years ago, We went a couple miles down from my place, and I live in a real rural area. There ain't nothing out here,
Mm-hmm.
just cattle and deer and and stuff like that. But we went to cut wood for the elders of the tribe, that still burn firewood for heat.
Yep.
And so there was three of us, and we went to cut wood, and it was about like 8:30 in the morning, so it was light out, and
Mhm.
we went up this little draw, which is a small, valley. I went one direction, the other guy went the other direction, this other guy went the direction because there was dead wood laying down already that we were going to cut up and load.
Yep.
Anyway, we just get there, we get our chainsaws ready, and we all go in our different directions. And so I start cutting this dead firewood up, for wood stoves, and I could feel something or somebody staring at me. And so I finally I looked up and I looked around, and the other guys were cutting down there, and I didn't see nobody. And I was like, I could still feel this something staring at me. So then I looked at this cedar tree. It was about a 20-foot cedar tree.
Mhm.
And behind it was this, I'll say, a creature. The best way to describe it is it looked like that creature on the movie Predator. It was clear, but you could see the outline of it. And it was huge. And I want to say maybe 8 foot tall.
Yep.
And I could see it. And it really scared me. It scared the heck out of me. I just turned off my chainsaw. I did a fast walk down to my pickup, and I said, "Let's go, guys."
Right.
And they're like, "We just got here." I said, "Well, you could stay here. I'm going. I'm gone."
In
And
the
we
moment
left.
that, well, in the moment that you saw it, was there a cognition? Did your brain say, oh, this is Bigfoot or Yeti? Or no?
No, I didn't. What I knew, it was something huge, and
And it didn't
to
belong
me,
there.
it was intimidating,
Oh,
very
right.
intimidating. You know, and of course, most human being, their natural reaction is fear.
That's right.
And so that's what I did. I got away, and so anyway, as time went by, um, one time we were having a sweat lodge here at my place, and I could swear I seen the same thing, but it was like a shadow form. Because you know how the sun's going down at night, but
Mhm.
you still can kind of see, you know. And I could see the shadow that was basically straight north of my place here, and it was about the same size. And
Mm.
I didn't want to say nothing to anybody, you know, because I didn't want to scare them because we're going into the sweat.
Oh, yeah, right.
So we went in the sweat, nothing happened. And then as time went on, um, I got my Sundance right here on my property. And one night we were going into sweat, and he showed up at the Sundance tree, this big 8-foot shadow. It was trying to like hide behind the tree, but it was so humongous. It was so big. And so all I did is I just prayed, and I just prayed, let everything go good, nobody get harmed,
Right.
and whatever's meant to happen, give us understanding. And I went in and we ran the ceremony, I ran the ceremony, and we came out and nothing happened. Well, we did it several other times, and next thing you know, I seen this orange orb. Okay.
Right.
I want to say about the size of a cantaloupe, you know,
Yeah.
it was by the tree. And I knew it was a spirit, but I didn't know what spirit or what kind or anything like that. So we went into the sweat to pray, and then I prayed, wherever you are, let me know. And this orange orb about this big, maybe the size of a quarter, it came through the door.
Oh, of the
It came
inebriated?
inside, it came inside the sweat lodge.
Oh, wow.
And so anyway,
And everybody saw it? Because in the
no,
sweat lodge, it's pitch black. I mean, it's not.
yeah, it is, it is.
So,
But I think it was just meant for me to see.
okay,
So in my mind, I asked it because lots of times we communicate telepathy,
right.
you know, and I asked what it was, you know, and then it didn't say nothing. So then in our Dakota language, when we say orange, we say Sha Z. Sha is red, Z is yellow, which makes orange.
Yep.
So I asked it, if is this your name? And if it is, blink once. If not, blink twice. Well, then it blinked once. So I knew it had a name. And as time went on, it would come around when I would do prayers for like elderly people that were very sick or children that were sick. It would come into the ceremony and
Wow.
would make prayers for those people.
Did anybody else see it in the ceremony?
Oh yeah, numerous people. Like usually it's my relatives that come to ceremony here, and they've seen it before, and but they don't they're used to it. They're not like afraid of it, you know.
Right.
Um, and so when it does come, we always tell them, pray. There's somebody needs help. Somebody's really very sick or terminally sick, terminally ill, you know. All we could do is just pray for them, you know, put that prayer out for them. And it's luckily it hasn't been coming around lately. So that means people are better, you know,
Right,
you
right.
know. Um, but I haven't been going into a lot of ceremonies a lot lately because I got COVID and I almost died of COVID. And
Oh my God,
then
I'm sorry.
I'm a diabetes. I got diabetes too, and
Yeah,
so my energy level went way down, not like to what it used to be, you know.
right.
But
It-
anyway, I we make if we need help, we make certain prayer ties and prayer flags, and we take it into the ceremony, and we ask. I always say ask him. I don't know if it's a she or male, but I'll just say ask him, you know, if he'll come and help and listen to our prayers, you know. And that's all we can ask for, you know.
I think
We
that's
can't determine
beautiful.
the outcome, you know.
That's right. We have no control over the outcome. We can just put
No,
the request in. That's right. I agree. So do you think that he is specific to you, meaning, because that's what it seems like somehow he's willing to work with you. He must recognize you as somebody that he can trust and that he can work with on some level. That's my sense. Would you think that maybe that's the case?
exactly, exactly, because they see what's in your heart and they see what's in your mind.
Right.
If your heart and your mind are there to help people, they're definitely going to help you to help them. So that's what I truly believe, you know.
And this is what I love to hear. So now you had a response for when you had said, and the other podcast I heard, you had said, whenever you hear something bad, like a Bigfoot was causing harm or people were really terrified and there was something going on, your first thought was something to the effect of, well, what were those humans doing? Because the natural tendency of these beings is not to create harm towards us. You know, I think we, as a species, human species, we need to just really think about these kinds of things, because if we keep reacting with fear and acting like idiots all the time, well, then these things have to lash out kind of, or do their own thing to adjust us. But if we approached it all, I mean, if we did the thinking, if they really wanted to harm us, they could have been harming us all along, not just one or two people. Like they have better skills than we do. And so if they're not harming us all the time, then we got to say, well, what's really the story? You know, would you agree with that? Am I understanding what you said before correctly?
Yeah, exactly. That is. What I believe is when they're around like certain communities and, you know, like they're making, a ruckus or whatever,
Yeah,
it's because there's something not going on right in that community or that family.
right.
And they're there to disrupt that and to hopefully change
To
the
shake it up.
behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I have a friend who is an indigenous holy man. That's the title. I'm not going to say his name, maybe because maybe I shouldn't say it on
Yeah, that's fine.
YouTube. But he had said that the ant people, the Bigfoot, and the dog-headed people, who I'm unfamiliar with, come from another planetary system. They come from the stars, and that they were placed here in the earth, mainly as helpers. Does your tribe? He's with the Hopi Nation. So do you feel that way? Do the Dakota also look at that? Those three things kind of connected?
Well, I don't know nothing about the ant people, first of all, and I don't know nothing about the dog people. But
Yeah,
as far as here, it's Bigfoot and spirits and things like that. But it's anything is possible, you know.
right. That's right. Because we really know nothing. I mean, in the big scheme of things.
Well,
So,
that's it. That's it. Is because we're not taught to we're not taught to grow up to be spiritual human beings. We're taught to be human beings that produce,
that,
work, labor, that type of thing. And that
thanks.
puts our
Right.
spiritual part way behind.
Yeah.
So I'm kind
That's a
of glad that
perfect.
there's awakening now, that people
Oh,
are
yeah.
awakening,
I want to go back to, I want to say that line one more time because it's perfect. Human beings are taught to produce. That's what we are taught to do, most of us anyways. And that's a whole wiring that we need to really look at. Who are we producing for and why? Who's running that goddamn show? So what else would you like to talk about? Do you have any experiences with ETs?
Yeah, actually, just this past year, excuse me, we had a ceremony in my house here, UEP ceremony one night. And there were some people that don't like my cousin. So they were, they, Indians are like, if they don't like you, they throw bad prayers or gossip or jealousy against you. So anyway, in the ceremony, we had, and it was for some people that came. And so outside of my house that night, this man come, but it wasn't a human. It wasn't from here. It wasn't from Earth. It was tall, and it was kind of like amber color, kind of like orange goldish color.
Hmm.
And it was kind of like liquidy. It looked like it was fluid. And I'm honest guy. I'm clean. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I don't do none of that. Okay.
Yeah.
And this thing came, and it told me that people were sending bad prayers towards us, and that he told me how they were sending it. And so he said they will turn a lot of people against you and your cousin and your family.
Oh,
So
wow.
so when those bad prayers were coming towards us, he would stand there and he would absorb those bad prayers.
Oh my God.
And I want to call him a starman. Uh, you know, uh, we we a lot of them we come we now I can't pronounce we I can't pronounce it right now, but they're people from the stars, and we believe that we're descendants from them.
Right.
But we're like at a low vibrational here on Earth,
Right.
because we forgot the spiritual part. We went this other way. But anyway,
Well, do you know what star system? Do you have like I've heard you know, from other native people that it's Palladian, that pretty much all, well, I was told all indigenous people, at least on this continent, are absolutely from the stars, and that it's usually, but not exclusively, Palladian. That's what I was told.
Well, here's the closest thing I found out. Okay, you know James Gillen, the guy that owns the City Ranch.
Yep.
He put up a thing on his. It had different types of ETs, you know, or you
Mhm.
know, star people, and this one was, he called it the Guardians, because that's what it looked like tall people, slender, but they were that same color,
Oh, that
you know.
golden amber? Wow.
Yeah, and so that's the closest thing I've seen that matches it, what I've seen here at my house, out here. So I don't know where they come from. I don't know. All I know is it was going to protect us from bad prayers. That's
You've
all I
got
know.
you've got help. If you've got one of those that's absorbing the bad prayers against you, and then you have that, you know, Yeti or the Sasquatch or however you want, a Bigfoot,
Yeah,
you're in a good league of helpers. They like
we
you.
we call them Sia Tonka, Big Brother.
Oh,
We think of them as relative, not as creatures.
yeah. Very
That's
nice.
that's the difference. Is to us they're relatives. You know, we have no reason to capture them or kill them or hurt them or anything. They just want to live just like us, you know.
Right,
So
right.
that's maybe that's the difference, you know. But you know, since I came out with my story, actually I just came out with it a couple months ago at a Bigfoot conference here in Nebraska,
Oh, really?
Hastings, Nebraska.
Yeah.
They asked for us anybody that were experiencers.
Hmm.
So I was like one of 8 people. And so when I got up and told my story, it kind of blew people's minds, you know, because they never heard anything like that before. Everything that they heard was sounds or wooden knocks or foot castings or, you know what I
Okay.
mean? Just, just, you know, it's just really not, I don't know.
It's not tangible. It's not as tangible. And there's no point to it. Seeing a footprint, excuse me, it just shows, okay, there's a bigger creature. I mean, there's value in that in a way. But how does that apply to my life? Like what kind of meaning can I attribute to that, right? But you telling the story of that being kind of watching you at least one time, or when you said the prayer and he came in and, you know, as a little ball of light. Now there's a context for it. What is this being? Well, in your experience, he's helpful and he's
Mhm.
interactive
Yes,
and
yes.
he's paying attention. If you're saying the prayer, he's picking up on it. Whatever he was doing before, he picked up on that prayer.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I love that. What do you think? Have you heard about the ET landing in Las Vegas that they talked about this week on the news?
Yeah, I was just watching that today on YouTube, you know.
What do you think about that?
I don't know.
Right.
I I'm a skeptic too. You got to realize that until I see it, I won't believe it, you know.
Yeah.
But if I feel something like, you know how you could feel something in your heart,
Yeah.
you know, then then I'm thinking, well, there's some kind of substance to it, you know.
You didn't
But
feel anything in
that,
your heart?
not really.
That's okay. This is what I said. Um, that I think is the obvious thing that people maybe are not considering is that if those ETs came in the backyard, and I've had contact my whole life, by the way. If they came in the backyard, it wasn't because they stumbled in the backyard. They came there with a purpose and they stood there calmly, no violence, no anything, and everybody's flipping out. They're just standing there. And, you know, we have such a strong fear reaction as human beings.
Mhm.
We really need to consider that. So for me, they went to see that family specifically, and I'm also where they do the mind wipe, the memory wipe thing. I
Yeah.
know this because it's happened to me. And so it's not reading about it. I've had this happen to me. So they could have mind wiped them so that they didn't have any memory. They could also redirect. So when they called the police, they could have redirected them in a mind wiping kind of way. No, don't call the police. They let all that happen.
Mhm.
You know, so I think it's probably an authentic thing. And the fact that the guy is explaining it, and he's just kind of discombobulated, that's what happens. You lose your bearing a little bit. And so that actually adds authenticity, as far as I'm concerned, as a
Okay.
legitimate experience.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I just watched it real briefly today, and I just never really paid too much attention to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard a backstory on it. I'm not gonna say who I heard it from or anything, but that the police, some people from Nellis Air Force Base and the FBI swarmed in almost immediately and took their cell phones. They did film them. They had them
Oh,
on film.
really?
That's what I heard. By
I see.
people that seem to know these things.
Hmm. Well, there's like a lot of different things out here. We got UFOs out here all the time, especially after ceremony. They're flying here constantly, and I don't know how many people have seen them from all over the world that came here, and they're like, what are those? And they're not satellites. Lots of times they're
Right.
too low, and um, I got different names for them.
Okay.
Okay. The ones that go real slow, and all of a sudden they disappear, I call them the slow pokes.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I've
then
seen them.
there's some that go real fast, and I'll say, well, those guys are the fast guys right there, because they're moving real fast. And but you got to understand too, there's some that are not UFOs. It may be a light or orb going across the sky, and all of a sudden it flashes real bright, and then it goes small and it just disappears. We
Right.
always say those are our relatives that are in the stars that passed on. Those are our
Oh,
relatives. Yeah.
no.
So those they came to check on us, or show us something, or let us know that they're still around.
I see those
Um,
almost every day. Almost every day. If I'm
yeah.
looking at the sky. There's a lot of
So
them.
those are the ones we always say. Those are the relatives that come, and they show themselves real bright, and then they just slowly just disappear.
I've seen
They're,
them
they're our
also out
relatives.
here. I mean, I've seen all kinds, but I've seen them where it was one ball, like an orange ball, like,
Uh-huh.
like this big up in the sky. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's not regular, because it's, flying like this, and all of a sudden, it explodes into like 7 or 8 balls that all start swirling around. And I mean, that was remarkable. That was like a couple of years ago, I saw that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. But what we got out here is these big orbs that float around. They're
Oh,
like neon blue. They're about the size of a basketball.
yeah.
Some are orange, some are red, some are yellow, and I think there's a very few white ones that we've seen. But what we always say, those are just um, they're spirits, of the past. Past people that passed away, and they're still here wondering.
Right.
And so the colors, I don't want to say what means what. I'm just saying that they're here, and that's how they show themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
you
now, are
know,
you considered I know you're considered a chief, right? Are you considered a chief?
I just consider myself a plain man.
Well, okay,
I'll
what,
come
all
at
right, all right, what are they, what are other people calling you? Are they calling you a chief?
what some people do, some people
Okay,
don't. But I just want to be humble, and I always call myself a Che Vichasta, common man. That's all I am, you
okay.
know.
Are you
And
considered a medicine man?
well, yeah, because
Exactly,
I do UEP ceremonies. But
right.
I don't want to be put on no pedestal or nothing like that, because my my purpose is to serve people, not people to serve me. There's a difference.
Oh, yeah, there is. And this is
Yeah.
why you have the Bigfoots coming to you when you ask for help and all that, because you are sincerely serving from your heart. And they
Yeah.
see it and they say, oh, let's help him. And thank God that that other one came and protected you from the bad prayers, because people can do damage to other people. We can do
Oh, yeah.
damage to each other. And he stopped that. So, and you didn't even ask for that help. They just stepped in and helped.
Exactly. I didn't, I didn't want to, I guess I didn't even know that was going to happen.
Right. And I think there's a message in that. And I'm spontaneously thinking, because some people say, how come, you get all these situations that happen, or, how come I don't see these kinds of things? Well, are you coming from a heart place, and are you actually helping other people? Or is that because if you do, you get the help of good spirits, because they recognize that. If we're just living for ourselves, or how most people have been trained to just produce and things like that, we don't have access to that, because how can they even intervene or interfere? They're not going to help one individual just, for selfish reasons,
Yeah.
sell
Yeah.
it something that they're not here for that. They're not playing that game. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
But
So,
yeah, there's lots of different things. Um, I know on my interview I talked about the spirit horses that we had here.
oh yeah, yeah. Talk about that.
Um, uh, well, long time ago we lived in the south part of the reservation. It was called Haw Creek, Howe,
Okay.
and my aunt Marlene, she was young in high school then, and I was just a small boy. I was in a house, but she was outside and she heard these horses come running down the road. Well, it was winter time. And then she seen these horses come down our driveway and into this old barn, like old abandoned barn. And the horses were, how they weenie around and stuff,
Hmm.
kind of stomp the ground,
Yeah.
and then they left. They came back out of the barn. They got on the road and they continued on the east. And next morning there's no tracks or nothing.
Right.
And that was one of the stories. Then the other story where there was an old he was not Vietnam veteran, but he was a veteran, and he was coming back from Niobrara, and he ran out of gas about 5 miles outside the village of Santee,
Yeah.
and he slept in his car because he didn't want to walk at night. And same thing, he said he heard horses, and he was sleeping in his car, and he woke up, looked out the window, and these horses were running by. He said, but they didn't have no hoofs. They weren't touching the ground. They were
Wow.
running.
Wow.
And so anyway, I talked to a couple of non-veterans about this, and they were saying, yeah, they said, well, when they removed our tribe from Minnesota and took us to South Dakota, and we finally put us here, this is like 1862, 1864.
Yeah.
They killed all our ponies.
Oh
The
my.
government lined up our ponies and they shot all of them. They killed them. So we couldn't go hunting, or we couldn't defend ourselves. So we were on
And
foot.
you couldn't take off either.
Yeah.
Not easy.
And so that's the story of our ponies that got killed by the government, you know. And,
Well,
so that's why we don't forget our relatives in the past, because we always got to remember where we come from, and we got to be like respectful towards them. We just got to be respectful people.
yeah. Well,
So,
so how do you not be bitter or angry?
well, I was angry for a lot of years. I was bitter, I was mean, I was mad. Um, and what helped me was the ceremony. I had, first of all, I'm a recovering alcoholic,
Mhm.
and I had to, I had to give that life up. I had to give up all that negativity, and practicing the ceremonies. It slowly, um, like came out of me.
Yeah.
And then of course, the spirits. They give me my dream, and I followed that, and Because here's one thing I know is we're not going to be on this earth forever, you know? And
Right,
if all we spend all our time being bitter and mad, that's what we're going to take over into our next life, you know?
right. That is right.
And so the best thing to do is just to forgive, you know, and I forgive everybody, you know, and I think that's what opens me up for the spirits to come to me, is because
Absolutely.
I don't got no fences around me, you know.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
I'm wide out in the open, you know,
Yeah,
and you know, because here's the weird thing, I'm a half breed, I'm half white and I'm half Dakota, okay.
yeah,
A lot of the full bloods don't like me because I'm a half breed.
right.
A lot of the white people don't like me because I'm part Indian. But you know who likes me? Tagashla, God, the
There you
spirit.
go. There you go. Oh,
All
yeah,
that matters. I
that's
don't
right.
care about any people. What they do is what they do. That's on them. But I know the spirits love me, and I know God loves me. Creator
Yep,
loves
yep.
me, and it's proven to me by during the UEP ceremony when they come and they untie me, they unbind me. So I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. You know, sure, I get attacks here every day. You know, people don't like me or whatever. You know, but that's their problem, not mine. You know,
Right.
I know the spirits love me. I do. I honestly do.
Yeah,
So that's why they give me what I got. You know, to try to teach other people how to be the same way.
yeah,
And that's all I'm doing is I share all my experiences, everything, my ceremonies, my life, my stories, hoping that it helps somebody else get better, you know.
yeah,
And that's what I do, you
yeah.
know. Um,
I love it. It's very inspiring,
yeah,
especially in the world right now. We've got to come together as a race. We have to come together. That we don't even have the option anymore. So I
yeah.
don't, we've got to do it. It's either pass or fail at this point. So we've got
Well,
to,
what I think of what of it is they got to break down of the greed, the jealousy, all that, and realize, hey, we have to live together. We have to eat together. We have to visit with each other. Black, red, yellow, white, it don't matter.
yeah,
You know, and we still got to have the respect for each other, you know, and I think things would get so much better, you know. But that's the way it works here at my place is, you know, is the spirits, they're here and people know they're here and that's why they come from all over, you know. And
they come
I
from
don't
all over to the ceremonies.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
A lot of Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Indiana,
Oh,
Tennessee, Kentucky, North
really? As far
Carolina,
away as Tennessee?
Virginia.
Wow.
Oh yeah, Florida, Georgia. Yeah, I'm serious. People come, they drive all this way out here.
And they'll go like for the Sundance? Like it,
Yeah.
like what's the date for the Sundance this year?
The 5th to the 12th of August.
Okay. And is there a website that has that information or maybe you don't know
No,
or?
it's just me. Just yeah.
I
Ain't got
love
no
it. All
website or
right.
nothing like that.
Okay. I love it. Very good. Well, I'm going to post that. If people ask questions, I'll redirect them to you. Well, through your,
Yeah,
Facebook. They can redirect through Facebook. They can send you a private message on Facebook.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how we can do it. Yeah.
Be
All
great.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being generous. I can see you're sitting in your truck. So, you
Yeah,
know,
it's finally raining here. We're finally getting rain.
yay.
It's starting to dry up here, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
grateful
good.
for it. Yeah.
Very
So
good. It's a healing thing, right? So,
yeah, we needed it. We needed it.
it also says what you're doing right now is kind of healing for me. You know, when it rains, I'm thinking I must be doing something right that we're getting rain right now. It's an
Mhm.
acknowledgement of the sacred for me when it rains. But
Yeah.
But of course, I'm in the desert area right now, so it's really rare. I mean, it's notable when it rains, like really
Yeah.
notable. So I want to thank you very much, and I'm hoping to have you speak at my October event in Sedona. It's the last weekend in October. I will
Okay.
firm up times and all that, and maybe people can reconnect with you that way too. We'll do it like this. And some of it can be virtual. That's the other thing in the world. We can do, half in live, live and virtual. Okay. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
bye.